Well, I woke up and there's a lot of buzz on Twitter over this stuff, and let's just calm it down here just a little bit. One of the states has now introduced a new law or a new bill. I believe it's HB 4814 in Texas. It's absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. They're calling it the Furries Act. I'm going to bow my head in shame because that's absolutely ridiculous that now they're creating a law that's going to target furries in particular in school. I get it. They don't want distractions in school, but this is far from that. This is far from it being a distraction. They're banning non-human behavior in schools. Now, kids have an imagination. They see things like Zootopia, DuckTales. They see animals everywhere when it comes to cartoons. That's the whole purpose of this. You have a likeness for cartoons like that, for the anthropomorphic side of things. And honestly, it's just a lot of fun. And now, is this coming down to schools, where schools are actually being introduced to these types of things with kids speaking out and kids branching out, rebelling against the system? It's kind of more what it feels like once again. In this ban, they're talking barking. They're talking tails being banned. Honestly, if a kid's going to school with a tail that their parents bought for them, that they paid $100, $200 for, I think we've got to have other questions here. Most kids are going to school with cell phones, and I think a cell phone is more of danger and more of a distraction than this type of thing. Is this a situation where an elementary is sending a student wearing a Paw Patrol t-shirt? That's part of what's really going on, isn't it? But this is all fueled from one thing, and it's fueled from a debunked myth of the whole litter boxes situation for kids that identify as cats having to go to the bathroom in a litter box is absolutely ridiculous. I've heard this stuff. When I went through everything, there was groups, I used to go into a public instance in VRC, and I would be told about this whole myth that's out there. This is something that spiraled online. This is a trolling of sorts that became something more. It went from a Michigan mom claiming that schools had litter boxes for kids to the Midland superintendent. Nope, it was fiction. It was spread. And you know what? It even made its way up here into Canada. There was a school in PEI, Prince Edward Island, that also did this. It was all debunked. This is all something that's actually come down to what's referred to as a Go Kit. Where did the Go Kits come from? Well, let's rewind the clock here. Troubled youth with the Columbine situation. This was something that was set up as an emergency preparedness plan, where if the school went into full lockdown, they would have this type of thing in case things got out of hand and there was a prolonged time that students would be in a classroom. That's where this is all spawned from. That was back in, 2011 at this point? And you fast forward to 2021, and this rumor circulates, and it gets brought up at a school board meeting, and then it continues, and it goes, and now it's just snowballed into something more. Now, the bill that Texas is putting through, it's got a little bit of teeth. It probably has a little bit of bite to it because they're trying to stop people from being themselves, and it is a school situation where framing it as if it's a distraction in school. But then you got to ask yourself, well, where's the line? Where does this violate the First Amendment rights in the States? I'm up here in Canada, I don't have the same thing. But everything that tried to push this down on the schools kind of got thrown to the wayside. Arizona in particular, they also tried to do this, and it got overturned by their Senate 7-0. They said, no, this doesn't make sense. This is a waste of taxpayers' dollars. They crushed the law and said, no, this isn't actually what's going on. The new version of this law, they're trying to frame it as a common sense law, and They're giving a bad name and a bad reputation to what they're calling common sense, because there is no common sense in this situation. The situation at hand was that this is all a myth that was drummed up and has now snowballed into something more, and is a target against furries in particular. What's the average age of a furry? You have to ask yourself this. What is your average age? And from statistics that are out there, the average age of a furry is somewhere in their mid-20s. This doesn't target kids. The whole idea of this stuff is not for kids. I remember growing up. I remember when I went to school. And later on in life, I ran into the people that I went to school with. And they described me to my friends at that time that we met up as I was the troubled kid. I was the kid that wore the black outfits. I was the kid that wore the more gothic attire. That's the difference. This is nothing more than another way to bring in and divide through this whole satanic panic BS that we have seen time and again. What really is a furry? Well, a furry is someone that takes a likeness into anthropomorphic creatures. And when you look at kids' cartoons out there, look at the movie Puss in Boots, Zootopia. Look at the cartoons out there. We got Paw Patrol. We've got even The Lion King. This is stuff we all grew up with, Disney being one of the major factors in that sense. And these costumes or these ideas, this fuels something more. It fuels imagination. And if you're going to quell that imagination, then what is it going to happen? Are they going to ban the kid that sits there and makes a doodle about their favorite character from Zootopia? Are they going to sit there and say, no, you need to get out? No, they're trying to implement $25,000 fines for these schools that are already on a shoestring budget that, in that budget, in most cases, cannot even afford the cat litter. How ridiculous does this have to get? The fandom, furries, there's a lot of money that goes into stuff like this as well, and now you have to sit there and ask, what is the whole purpose of this? Why are taxpayers' dollars being spent to try and create a law that's going to target adults, not kids, in this circumstance? Maybe a kid just wants to act out their favorite scene from Zootopia at recess. Is that actually doing something more? Is that a distraction in the classroom? No, in a classroom, you have many other distractions as well. You have kids with a lot of, ADHD. You've got kids that have a shorter attention span. You have things going on. And honestly, if the teachers use a proper way to teach and other tools to their methods, maybe the teacher is giving out stickers that are furry adjacent or something from Zootopia. Now that's going to get removed from it. Hey, little Timmy there got a A on his math test. Oh, let's put a little sticker on there that was maybe their favorite character from a cartoon. Looney Tunes, for Christ's sakes, right? Am I wrong? In all of this, with the stuff that happened in Arizona, it got shut down. Stuff that's gone on, it's got shut down many, many times. The spaces for this stuff is generally more of an adult space. So now when you have the kids going to school and they're saying it's a distraction to kids, I think you have much more bigger problems in that case than a kid walking into a classroom wearing a Paw Patrol t-shirt or hell, Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, this is the one thing that I really like about VR chat, and one thing that I can do here. I can sit there and talk about these things and be an adult. Right now, what's going on down in Texas, I don't see the adults running the show. I see someone being very juvenile, trying to say, this is the problem. Are they trying to force their schools to go private or something? I have no idea, because that's not my general sense of what's going on down there. I don't live in Texas. I live up here in Canada. But I am in Alberta, so we are Texas adjacent in that sense. So we do see very similar things when it comes to what's going on for the lawmakers. What happens if this goes through law? What happens if this goes through? Well, it's probably going to spark a bunch of lawsuits. you're going to see a lot of people step up and say, listen, this doesn't make any sense. It already doesn't make sense. And honestly, the fact that they're trying to compare it to some common sense thing, there's no common sense here. There's none, because nobody's looked into the facts. Nobody sees what's actually going on. All they see is what's in front of them, and from what I can tell is hearsay in a lot of cases. There are people on both sides of the coin that are arguing against this. Oh, it's now become a divisive topic. You keep fighting among yourselves and you're not going to get anything done, and things get swept under the rug. Look deeper, because this is definitely one of those situations where it's being used to frame something more and to hide everything else that's going wrong in society. Anyway, I am your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow. I'm signing off here. Have yourselves a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know what your thoughts are on this. Is this right to put in a law like this? Or is this just hearsay and debunked myths turning into something more that's trying to target a fandom that's just trying to be themselves? I'll talk to you again real soon.